Many days and months have I waited for the train to leave the city far behind, seek country once again. The passengers sit talking all through the afternoon, and the porter waltzes quietly with a honey-colored broom. Well, life in a box canyon, it don't get you very much. Just a lizard and the stone at where he'll sleep. And I'll go on daydreaming, though I'm really out of touch, and the soldier lies forgotten in the keep. Once I had a woman, she reminded me of the wind, and too it was an accident. I'd asked the gods to win. They granted me one favor before they tore away the veil. And I don't know what I've lost and one I don't even know today. Each day the children come out and they stand around the court, deciding what is pleasure and what to play. When I was but one of them, I knew just how to sing. Tell me now, what are my children to say? Well, life in a box canyon, it don't get you very much. Just a lizard and the stone at where he'll sleep. I go on daydreaming, though I'm really out of touch, and the soldier lies forgotten in the keep. Howdy, folks. You made it. Knighted. Singer of the Sorrow, Philip. Lucia. Arbor 8591. Manuela. Leather Pirate. So we found it. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Just when you think that they're going to be your friend, what do? They throw mysterious hitches. I did all the things I was supposed to do. I did everything they told me to do. Well, I got myself a little wash down here in preparation. I'm sporting the cape, of course, the green cape, which I designed several years ago, the hooded green cape. And what color is this? What color are my pajamas with the... These were given to me a couple weeks ago. And then I dutifully washed them in a big wash with a pen in the pocket. So that's how you can tell a real poet is when they've got pen stains on all their clothes. All right. So I was looking at the cape, and I know I designed it, but I'm looking at the stitches. This isn't my stitch work. You know whose stitch work this is? I couldn't have done this. I couldn't have done this. Look at this. Look at that. No, that's not my stitch work. My mammy helped me with this. I'm sure of it. I'd forgotten about that. So that's like one of the things I ended up being able to bond with my mother about was having her help me make my costumes. This habit started when probably when I was like 7 years old and in the theater. And she made all the costumes, not only for me, but as I remember, everyone in the whole cast. And continuing on into what would have been my heyday of pre-adolescent theater would be playing Oliver in Oliver Twist. And she made my clothes for that too. I've got pictures to prove it. But then later, another, shall we say, 10 years later, I had her helping me with my stage costumes. I still have some of those. I'll have to pull them out and find them. What's going on today? Hey. It was a lot of sewing. It looked like a lot of sewing. I mean, maybe some people had costumes already, but there was a lot of sewing. There's probably some picture somewhere of her sewing away in the corner. And they were all like for the orphans. They were all orphan with little fake patches on them and everything. Anyone recognize that song? I don't have any tea today. The cream ran out. How do you have your tea without cream? I don't know. I haven't figured it out. So I'm drinking lemon water in a plastic bottle. And wow. We've already had some projects today. I don't know. I could talk about it. We'll talk about that in a minute. I think it's the kind of project that could be traumatic for some people. Not me. I can handle it. We've got the hourglass running on the beautiful, lovely, pillar-esque flower pot holder, which was acquired free of charge as an extra bonus for some other fun things I picked up. Yeah, it's a little bit of an addiction. It's wood. It's wood. That's what's good. It's good that it's wood. And if I wanted to, I could probably like take the paint off, maybe. I don't know. Where was the Hex Hut at last time? We're hanging out with the Hex Hut rafter bones here on the T-perch. We've got our friends, the Hex Hut rafter bones here. So the story is, according to according to the weather robots, there's going to be rain this weekend. So I'm getting it ready. I'm working it out. The time is running. We've got to get everything packed away and safe for rain. So did I show you the Hex Hut down there? Yeah, I'm excited, but there's other stuff to do. And then there's like there's little events happening around. It's always a bit of a question, like what do they call it? It's the FOMO, pills of time. Poor bee. Uh, the 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 FOMO, fear of missing out. I can't not go. I really just feel like working on all the myriad projects. Oh, some of which I managed to get on the computer today. Good job. Go on the computer. You can get things done. Been having a long-term aversion to just like turning it on. But what did I do? I spent a day and I made a Substack for some. This is where I've been wanting to do it for maybe a year or something, and I wanted to slowly seep out the little some of the old missives that are still not yet public. Precisely, I guess they're public there, but yeah. So I was trying to give away have a little one more monthly habit to maintain. I think I can do it. I can do it. And so that's gonna be there. So if you like the Substack, go find the new missives. What do I mean not out there? I'm not sure. I have a problem where I don't know what I said 2 minutes ago. So I think no one guessed it yet. That was a Jackson C. Frank song. I think it was an older song. It sounded kind of like a home recording, possibly. His voice was a little bit heavier. He didn't have his first album Youth voice. So what was it that I spent most of my time today doing? Well, I don't know if anyone noticed, but I've got a white truck. And I really like my white truck. She's named Maxine. It's a Mitsubishi Mighty Max from 1990. You can roll up your own windows. And I got it from a neighbor when I was down 5 hours south. That was nice. It's always so traumatic when you have to try to buy a car and you're afraid that it's gonna be a lemon. But Maxine's been pretty good to me. But the mice seem to like her too. And so just around about yesterday, I hadn't driven for a while, and I was pretty sure that one of those mice that likes Maxine spent his last days in there somewhere, and his rotting corpse was presumably in the seat. That's what I thought. I thought like, oh man, he crawled up there into the foam and chewed out a little home, and then decided that was where he wanted to spend his last moments. But so I took out the seat and ended up ripping up all the carpet, most of it. And he was not in the seat. Maybe I should be grateful for that. He was like underneath, he was burrowed underneath the carpet somewhere. Anyway, gruesome details. Gruesome details. What else are we? I've got a story. I've got kind of a medium length story. Did I have any other business to discuss? Business to discuss. We've got plans. Look at these plans. Moonlit Missives. Or no, 23 Minutes is brought to you by Moonlit Missives. Where's my advertisements? I can't find the advertisements. Let's just go to the, let's go to the story. It's number 121. Lucia had a white truck named Fiona. No, Maxine is no longer the kingdom of the mice. They're permanently evicted. I've decided. I'm not putting carpet back in there. Well, I don't know. It's gonna be doused with all kinds of strong oil essences and detoxified. You know, like, that's the rest of the project for today. I'll get back to it. But I did have fun because I took the seat out and I had to drive down to, not like into public, but like to the vacuum cleaner. And so I was riding in my little camper chair that I put in there as a seat temporarily. That was entertaining. Okay, should we read a long story, a medium long story? It's number 121. Oh, it felt safe in there. I don't know about this. I don't know. I've got a, I don't know about these mice. Yeah, when you find them, they do look pretty cute. They're like, cute, but we and you say, yeah, but don't shit on my stuff. He says, oh, but you don't like my shit. I like poo. They seem to like it. All right. The Prince Who Feared Nothing. Once upon a time, there was a prince who was tired of living at home in his father's house, and since he feared nothing, he thought, I'll go out into the wide world where I won't be bored. There are plenty of marvelous things to see out there, so he took leave of his parents and set out on his journey. He was on the move from morning till evening, and he followed the road, no matter where it led him. One day, he happened to come to a giant's house, and since he was tired, he sat down in front of the door to rest. As he began examining his surroundings, he noticed some playthings lying in the giant's yard. Several huge bowling balls, along with 9 pins, as big as a man. After a while, he felt like playing, so he set up the 9 pins and began to bowl. Whenever the pins fell, he yelled and shouted and was in good spirits. The giant heard the noise, stuck his head out of a window, and spotted a human being who was no bigger than other human beings, and yet was playing with his 9 pins. Hey, you little worm, the giant yelled. How can you bowl with my 9 pins? Where did you get the strength to do that? The prince looked up, saw the giant, and said, You clumsy oaf! You think you're the only one with strong arms? I can do whatever I feel like doing. The giant came down, watched with great amazement as he bowled, and said, Remarkable! If that's the kind of human you are, go and fetch me an apple from the tree of life. What do you want with it? Asked the prince. I don't want it for myself, replied the giant, but for my bride, who's been wanting it for some time. I traveled all around the world, but couldn't find the tree. I'll find it for sure, said the prince. I can't imagine that anything would prevent me from picking the apple. Don't think it will be easy, said the giant. The garden where the tree's located is surrounded by an iron fence, and there are wild animals side by side in front of the fence. They keep guard and won't let anyone inside. But they'll let me in, said the prince. Well, If you manage to get into the garden and see the apple hanging on the tree, it won't be yours yet. There's a ring hanging in front of it, and you've got to put your hand through it if you want to get the apple and break it off. Nobody has ever succeeded in doing that." "I'll succeed," said the prince. He took leave of the giant, went over hill and dale, through fields and forests, till he finally found the miraculous garden. The animals were lying around it, but they had lowered their heads and were sleeping. Nor did they awake when he approached them. So he stepped over them, climbed the fence, and reached the garden safely. Right in the middle stood the tree of life, and the red apples glistened on the branches. He climbed up the trunk, and as he was about to reach for an apple, he saw a ring hanging in front of it. Yet he had no difficulty sticking his hand through the ring and picking the apple. The ring closed tightly around his arm, and suddenly he felt tremendous power surging through his veins. After climbing down the tree with the apple, he did not want to climb back over the fence. Instead, he grabbed hold of the large gate and needed to shake the gate only once before it burst open with a loud noise. Then he went out, and the lion that had been lying in front of the gate woke up and sprang after him, but the lion was neither furious nor ferocious. Rather, he followed the prince meekly, as if the prince were his master. The prince brought the promised apple to the giant and said, "You see, I had no difficulty getting it." The giant was happy that his wish had been fulfilled so quickly. He rushed to his bride and gave her the apple that she had desired for such a long time. She was a beautiful and smart maiden, and when she noticed that the giant was not wearing the ring on his arm, she said, "I won't believe that you were the one who fetched the apple until I see the ring on your arm." I just need to go home and get it," said the giant, who thought it would be easy to take it from the human by force if he would not give it up of his own free will. So the giant demanded the ring from the prince, who refused to give it to him. "The ring must be wherever the apple is," said the giant. "If you won't give it to me of your own free will, you'll have to fight me for it." They wrestled with one another for a long time, but the giant could not get the better of the prince, who had been strengthened by the magic power of the ring. Then the giant thought of a trick and said, "All this fighting has made me hot, and you too. Let's go for a swim in the river and cool ourselves off before we begin again." Since the prince did not suspect anything devious, he went with him to the river, took off his clothes and the ring as well, and jumped into the river. The giant immediately grabbed the ring and ran away with it. But the lion, who had seen him steal it, set out after the giant, ripped the ring out of his hand, and brought it back to his master. Then the giant hid behind an oak tree, and when the prince was busy dressing himself again, the giant attacked him and poked out both his eyes. Now the poor prince stood there blind and helpless. The giant came back again, seized his hand like someone who wanted to guide him, and led him to the edge of a high cliff. Then he left the prince standing there and thought, "Just a few more steps and he'll fall to his death. Then I'll be able to take the ring off." But the faithful lion had not abandoned his master. He held on tightly to the prince's clothes and gradually pulled him back. When the giant came to rob the dead man, he saw that his trick had been in vain. "There must be a way to get rid of such a weak human like that," he said to himself angrily. Then he took the prince's arm and led him by a different path to the edge of the cliff again. But the lion, who had sensed the giant's evil intention, helped the prince out of danger here too. When they came to the precipice, the giant let go of the blind man's hand and intended to leave him alone. But right then the lion shoved the giant over the cliff, and he was smashed to pieces on the bottom. The faithful animal pulled his master back from the edge of the cliff once again and led him to a tree beside a clear flowing brook. There the prince sat down while the lion crouched over and sprayed water in the prince's face with his paw. No sooner did a few drops wet the sockets of his eyes than he could see something again, and he noticed a little bird that flew right past him and bumped into a tree trunk. Immediately the bird fluttered down into the water and bathed itself in the brook. Then it flew away quickly and made its way through the trees without bumping into them, as if it had regained its sight. The prince realized that this was a sign from God and bent over the water and washed and bathed his face in it. When he straightened up, his eyes were brighter and purer than they had ever been. The prince thanked God for his great mercy and went on into the wide world with his lion. One day, he happened to come upon a castle that was enchanted. A maiden with a beautiful figure and fine appearance stood at the gate, but she was quite black. She addressed him and said, "Oh, if only you could release me from the evil spell that has been cast over me." "What must I do?" asked the prince. "You must spend 3 nights in the great hall of the enchanted castle," she replied, "but you must not show the least sign of fear in your heart. They will torture you terribly, but if you can bear it without uttering a sound, then I'll be released from the spell, and they won't be allowed to take your life." "I'm not afraid," said the prince. "With God's help, I'll try." So he went cheerfully to the castle, and when it became dark, he sat down in the great hall and waited. It was quiet until midnight, but then he heard a loud noise, and little devils began coming out from all corners. They pretended not to see him, sat down in the middle of the hall, started a fire, and began to play a game. When one of them lost, he said, "Something's wrong. There's someone here who doesn't belong to us, and it's his fault that I'm losing." Wait, we've got a picture, but there's no caption. Maybe that's the one. "Hey, you behind the stove," called another. "Just wait, I'm coming to get you." The shrieking became louder and louder. Anyone else who had heard it would have become horrified, but the prince sat there very calmly and was not afraid. Eventually, however, the devils jumped up from the floor and attacked him. There were so many of them that he could not protect himself. They dragged him around the floor, pinched him, stabbed him, beat him, tormented him, but he did not utter a sound. Toward morning, they disappeared, and he was so worn out that he could barely move his limbs. At daybreak, the black maiden came into the hall carrying a small bottle with the water of life in it. She washed him with the water, and soon he felt all his pain disappear, and new vigor flowed through his veins. "You've made it through 1 night safely," she said, "but there are 2 more to go." She went away again, and as she left, he noticed that her feet had turned white. That night the devils came again and began their game anew. They attacked the prince and beat him much harder than the night before, so that his body was covered with wounds. Yet he endured it all, and they had to leave him after a while. When the sun began to rise, the maiden appeared and healed him with the water of life. Afterward, as she was leaving, he saw with joy that she had already become white to the tips of her fingers. Now he had only 1 more night to endure, but it was the worst. The devil's pack came again. "Are you still here?" they exclaimed. "We're going to torture you until you can no longer breathe." They stabbed and beat him, tossed him back and forth, and tugged at his arms and legs as if they wanted to pull him apart. Despite it all, he survived and did not utter a sound. Finally, the devils disappeared, but he lay there unconscious and could not move, nor could he raise his eyes when the maiden came in and poured the water of life all over him. Suddenly, all the pain was gone, and he felt reinvigorated, as if he had just woken up from a good night's sleep. When he opened his eyes, he saw the maiden standing beside him. She was white as snow and as beautiful as the day is bright. "Get up," she said, "and swing your sword 3 times over the stairs. Then the spell will be broken." After he had done that, the entire castle was released from the magic spell, and the maiden turned into a rich princess. The servants came and announced that the table was already set in the great hall, and dinner was to be served. Then the couple sat down together, ate and drank, and in the evening their wedding was celebrated midst great rejoicing. Happily ever after. Lion blessings. All right. Hello, Oprimida 123. Cupped hand spell. Presumably may have used wind chimes. It's quite possible. I have to go look. There's a couple of different recordings of that one, actually. So I'll have to listen again and see. Thanks for stopping in on another Wednesday. I need some of that water of life, I think. I don't know what I've been doing, but we'll all get it together. Go on to the next thing. Wipe down Maxine, maybe. Yeah. Put the seats back in. Alright, I'm gonna play Midsummer Song I'm gonna play the song that may be found on the new Substack. This was from Moonlit Missive, number 105. Midsummer's Shadow. While breaking into spring cleaning, left over from some last year or other, it's a perfect time for spring cleaning now that summer's hit. I've still got spring cleaning from a few years back, maybe. But, I feel like it's all coming together. I'm almost caught up. Everything's just one thing at a time. It can only get better from here, right? While breaking into spring cleaning left over from some last year or other, I get a notion. Why, it may be possible, some hidden aversion neurotically protests these activities of domestic necessity. Old boxes of what have we here's? Merely all the things that once upon a time wanted to be done, now half forgotten in well-worn, sturdy cardboard vessels, bearing labels that leave no guesses as to past addresses. It's an intimidating specter, if only a fraudulent phantom. It'll eat your life away, though, if you let it. So, my wishes to you for your late spring cleaning success. Thank you for the good luck on the projects. Sometimes it seems like I need it. Time slips down in midsummer's shadow. Sounds of summer dissolve into green, loosening slowly without a notion. Anywhere, anyway, whatever they mean. Two little clouds floating away, one drifting south dissolves into blue. Two buzzing flies bother each other, never contented, whatever they do. A sun, a moon, coming together, green and blue in midsummer's shade. Time slips down in midsummer's shadow. Sounds of summer dissolve into green.